Sometimes you just know. CFCW auction, November 7th, 2012. When I heard about the car running into the school in St. Paul and pinning the girls underneath, I was in total disbelief. How many classrooms have I been in during my 30 years of teaching? When I heard that one of the girls had died, I cried. When I saw Megan's photo the first time, I recognized her as an angel, and again I cried. On Monday morning, I was late leaving for work because of the freezing rain, and when I heard that CFCW was going to hold an auction for Megan's Memorial Scholarship Fund, I knew I had to do something for this angel and her family, which she had left behind. What did I have that would attract some serious attention and bidding? In a few seconds, I knew. The 1972 hockey series of 8 games between Canada and the Soviet Union was right up in the news as though we were at war, and Vladislav Tretiak was unquestionably the best goalie in the world at that time, bar none. And I had his autographed jersey, which I had just purchased in an NHL auction about 5 years ago, and which Cam, at Just Frame It in Edson, had just completed the framing approximately the day that Megan had been hit by the car. Sometimes you just know. It was about 8:52, so I called Sharon Mallon and asked if they would be interested in adding this to their auction items. As she was just going off the air, she asked me to call Jackie Ray Greening, the boss lady, at the studio number. I did, and Jackie Ray immediately jumped on the opportunity. She wanted to know if I could get a photo to her so they could post it on their website. I had one on my phone. Called her back, got her email address, and then she said, "Can you drop it off Wednesday morning on your way to work?" I assured her that I would make sure it was on their doorstep at 6:30 a.m. on Wednesday, in time to start the auction. Sometimes you just know. I completed my jobs early yesterday because there was a snowstorm headed our way for Tuesday night, and I had made a commitment to be in West Edmonton Mall at 6:30 a.m. Of course, you all know about the slight delay I had because of my not-so-successful skunk whisperer encounter with Irene's skunk, and how delighted Bert was that he could get back at me for making fun of him and his skunk encounter a couple of days before he passed on to the great trapping line in the sky. Part of a delay was caused by having to shower and shampoo my face and beard at least 8 times yesterday. And then, of course, I had to let you all know about my encounter so that you could all have a good giggle at my mishap. I was going to take Marg's car into the city to save on fuel, but had second thoughts when I could clearly smell skunk with every breath I took, so I was not about to stink up her car. Instead, I took the older 4x4 pickup. Sometimes you just know. I stayed at a motel not far from West Edmonton Mall, just in case it snowed heavily overnight, because I had to have the jersey at CFCW by 6:30, as promised. I asked for a 5 a.m. wake-up call. Normally, I would wake up near that time without an alarm, but sometimes you just know. I fell asleep by 10 p.m., but awoke at 2 a.m. wide awake because my face felt like it had been burned with a match. The skunk acid was embedded in my skin, and as I touched my face, that would release some of the skunk oil, and I would smell as though I had just been sprayed. I watched Obama's victory speech and finally fell asleep, and was startled when the phone wake-up call came in the middle of a deep, deep sleep. Sometimes you just know. Another deep scrubbing shower with lots of shampoo, and away I went to West Edmonton Mall, looking for entrance number 55 on the top parking lot. I took the Tretiak jersey in, found the CFCW studio only about 50 meters from the entrance. The door was locked, and I could see Sharon Mallon sitting at the control panel. She works alone until 6:30, when Danny Hooper joins her. I always try to be at my breakfast table at 6:30 to listen to Danny and Sharon because they have such a great rapport with each other, and at times their banter is hilarious. A great way to start my day. I knew that Sharon would not know who I was, so I unwrapped the outside cardboard and held the jersey so that Sharon could see it over her control panel. Big smile, a wave, and she came to let me in. We had a good chat about the jersey and the auction, and then I asked if I could stay. Sharon said that their jobs required a lot of effort, and Danny, although a very congenial guy, especially likes to concentrate on what he is doing without distraction. I understood completely, but then she said, have breakfast and come back at 8:30 when the auction is done, so we can have a chat. No problem. I went out to the truck as it was now 6:20, and Danny would be arriving shortly. I didn't want to miss their first bantering of the day, and I was excited to hear how the auction would be introduced. I really wanted this auction to be successful, so I had an idea of how much I was willing to help the bidding along. And if I was successful, fine. If not, even better, since that would mean they would get more money. Sometimes you just know. There were no bids by 6:45, so I phoned in with a bid of $2,000 to open. Danny is taking my info off the air, and I can hear Sharon in the background saying, "That's John. That's the guy who brought in the jersey. He's bidding on the jersey he brought in." I can hear the excitement in her voice. On the air, Danny says we have an opening bid from John Myslicki of $2,000. He's the guy who donated the jersey, and he's opening the bidding. Sharon asked Danny about the Tretiak jersey. He cannot say enough great things about the jersey and the framing job. He uses superlative after superlative. Sharon asks him how much he thinks it's worth. Danny says that if he was auctioning that off in Calgary, he would open the bidding at $7,500. Within a few minutes, a phone call comes in over the air, and it's a guy from St. Paul with a bid of $3,000. I fully expect another quick bid. Nothing. And it's now almost 7:30. The phones have been going crazy with bad road and accident reports. The bad weather is interfering with the auction. I call in and raise the bid to $4,000 and decide to head for breakfast. I enjoy a nice leisurely breakfast, come back to the truck by 8:10, and they have only $5,000 from a new bidder. Then the phone rings and the guy, in a broken voice, "Thanks Danny and Sharon for holding this auction." He identifies himself as Megan's dad. I thought to myself, there but for the grace of God go I. I break out in tears and decide it's time to get serious. So I decide to exceed my own limit, write down $5,500 on a sheet of paper and black felt pen, and head for the studio. We are now just 4 minutes from the close of the auction. I'm phoning in, nobody's answering. Sharon is looking at the control panel, and Danny, with his back to me, is looking at the newspaper. I hold the sheet up high. Sharon sees it. Danny turns around and holds up 6 fingers. I gesture him to come to the door, and he says, "We already have 6,000. Will you go 65? Without hesitation, I agree, and he beckons me to come in the door. I tell him that I want everything to go to the family. I will pay $6,500, but the family must get everything in the auction. Danny says, "Would you let the jersey go if I can get the last bidder to pay his $6,000 and he gets to keep the jersey?" We're 1 minute to closing. I think Danny has the guy on hold as he's thinking he's won the auction. And Danny tells him that I have won the auction with $6,500, but that will let him keep the jersey if he keeps his last bid of $6,000. He agrees, and the studio erupts in a bit of excitement. Megan's Memorial Scholarship Fund will get $12,500. One bidder from Elk Point, Mr. Ference, gets a $6,000 Tretiak jersey. Megan's family will get a beautiful bronze sculpture of a girl on a horse with the inscription, "Never Forget Her," or similar, as well as George Canyon tickets to his next concert, as well as meet and greet tickets backstage. All in all, wow. I don't even remember what all happens in what order anymore, but Jackie Ray comes in from the back door. Big smiles, shakes my hand. We exchange all kinds of stories. Sharon asks if I'll say something on the air, but I have to keep it short as she's running out of time. I can't remember the exact words, but I said something to the effect that I wanted Megan's family to know that when someone in our community grieves, we all grieve with them. We want to support them. I'm on the verge of crying. Danny teases Jackie Ray on air about almost climbing on top of me with my camo overalls. Too funny. After that, I present everyone with "We thank you for being a positive role model for our school and community pens, as well as we support our troop pens," and Jackie Ray with a check for $6,500. Jackie Ray says, "Hang on, John. I have something for you." She comes back with a camo CFCW cap. Danny makes a comment about me getting my photo taken with my $6,500 cap. We also talk about me getting skunk sprayed yesterday, and Jackie Ray says, "I can't smell skunk on you. How did you get rid of the smell so quickly?" Lots and lots of showers and shampoos. Lots of photos are taken. Dean Thorpe, ag business reporter, comes in, as well as someone in sales. More photos, and it's all over. I go out the door and Sharon locks it behind me. Sometimes you just know. Terrible weather has moved in, and I'm thankful I have the 4x4 to drive home. On the way home, traffic is stopped on Highway 16 because of a semi jackknifed right across both lanes. Fortunately, I have a good stock of Halloween candy in the truck, so I go up the row of stopped traffic and offer candy bars to whoever wants one. Now that brings out a few smiles. After about an hour delay, the semi is pulled on the side lane, and we are able to proceed. I'm pretty certain I would have had trouble with Marg's car. Perhaps Bert's spirit also arranged everything so that if I got skunk sprayed and had to take the 4x4, I would arrive home safely. Sometimes you just don't know.